In life, we meet thousands of people. Some stay, some leave, and some teach us who we truly are. But the most painful truth is this: we often hold on to people who have stopped holding on to us. We adjust, we shrink, we bend, we break just to keep them in our lives, even when they no longer appreciate our worth. And slowly, silently, without even noticing, we become strangers to our own hearts. But my friends, if someone doesn't value your presence, they don't deserve your dedication. If they don't respect your love, they don't deserve your loyalty. And if they cannot see your worth, it is not your job to shine brighter. It is their loss for closing their eyes. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of self-respect. It is telling the universe, I am ready for people who align with my worth, not those who drain it. So today, let's talk about the truth. The courage and the peace that comes when you finally let go of people who don't value you. My dear friends, one of the greatest illusions we live with is believing that our worth depends on someone else's acknowledgement. We wait for people to approve of us, appreciate us, praise us, and when they don't, we begin to question ourselves. But the truth is, your worth was never created by people, so people can never define it. A diamond doesn't stop being a diamond just because a blind man cannot see its shine. In the same way, you don't become less valuable just because someone is too distracted, too wounded, or too immature to recognize your beauty. Sometimes people don't value you not because you lack something, but because they lack the awareness to see what is in front of them. And if you keep depending on their validation, you will live your entire life in emotional poverty, waiting, hoping, craving for praise that may never come. The day you learn to see your own worth without needing someone else's eyes, that day you become free. Free from insecurity, free from self-doubt, free from chasing people who cannot even value themselves. Self-worth is a journey inward, not a search outward. And when you stop begging for appreciation from the wrong people, the right ones, the ones who genuinely care, will start valuing you without being asked, because they can sense authenticity, humility, and goodness. So remind yourself every morning, my value is non-negotiable. Whether someone appreciates me or not, I remain who I am. My dear friends, one of the most exhausting things we do in life is trying to force someone to appreciate what they are determined to ignore. We try to show our loyalty, our sincerity, our goodness. But when a person has already made up their mind not to value you, no amount of effort can change that. You cannot convince a closed heart to open, just like you cannot convince a stone to bleed. Some people are simply not ready, not mature enough, or not emotionally available to understand your worth. They are too caught up in their own world, too busy chasing illusions, or too distracted by their own wounds to notice the beauty of your presence. And the more you try to prove yourself to them, the more you drain your own energy. You bend, you compromise, you give, you overgive. But instead of valuing your effort, they start taking it for granted. Not because you are not worthy, but because they are incapable of seeing beyond their own perspective. Appreciation cannot be forced. Respect cannot be demanded. Love cannot be begged for. The moment you try to push someone to value you, you shift the power from your heart to theirs, giving them control over your peace. But the truth is, sometimes people ignore gold because they are too busy playing with stones. So instead of trying to convince them, step back. Let them learn through life, not through your pain. The right people will recognize your value instantly, naturally, effortlessly. You won't have to shout for attention or compete for space. Your presence will be enough. And the day you stop forcing people to appreciate you, you reclaim your dignity, your peace, and your emotional freedom. My dear friends, one of the most liberating truths in life is this: not everyone you lose is a loss. Yet we spend so much time grieving people who walked away, as if their departure took a part of our soul with them. We replay conversations, we rewrite memories, we question our actions, we blame ourselves, thinking that if we had done something differently, they might have stayed. But what we forget is that life removes people for a reason. Some people are not meant to stay in every chapter of our story. And sometimes, the people we cling to the most are the very people holding us back from peace, from growth, from becoming who we are meant to be. But because we are emotional beings, we don't see their departure as a blessing, we see it as a heartbreak. We see empty space, not the freedom that space is creating. We see rejection, not the protection hidden in that rejection. We see pain, not the purpose that pain is preparing us for. But my friends, when someone leaves your life, it does not always mean you are unworthy. It often means you are being redirected to something better, someone deeper, a chapter more aligned with your destiny. Some people leave because they never intended to stay. Some leave because their role in your life is complete. And some leave because their presence would harm your future more than their absence harms your present. And though it hurts, endings are often the universe's way of clearing your path. Think about it: a tree must shed dead leaves to grow new ones. The sky must release storms to reveal sunshine. And sometimes, you must release people to rediscover yourself. Losing someone who never valued you is not a loss. It is an escape from emotional imprisonment. It is freedom disguised as heartbreak. It is life saying, you deserve better than what you were settling for. And when the wrong person exits your life, they take away drama, disrespect, confusion, insecurity, self-doubt, and all the emotional noise that kept you awake at night. Their absence creates silence, the kind of silence in which you finally hear your own worth again. You start to realize that the people who left you were not your destination, they were simply a part of your journey. And once they step out, the right people begin stepping in. People who appreciate your love, who protect your heart, who understand your soul without forcing you to shrink or compromise who you are. So next time someone leaves, instead of mourning endlessly, smile gently and tell yourself, if losing them brings me back to myself, then it was never a loss. My dear friends, one of the greatest reasons we stay stuck in unhealthy emotional cycles is because we hold on tightly to the wrong people and unknowingly block the right ones from entering our lives. We cling to relationships out of fear, fear of loneliness, fear of change, fear of starting over, and in that fear, we keep doors closed that were meant to open long ago. When we invest our heart, our time, our energy into people who do not value us, we create emotional clutter that leaves no room for something more meaningful to arrive. Imagine trying to pour fresh water into a cup already filled with dust and dirt. It cannot hold purity until it is emptied. In the same way, your heart cannot welcome healthy, uplifting connections while it is occupied by people who drain your peace. The truth is, life is always ready to bring better people your way, but it cannot force them in. You must create space. Sometimes the universe wants to send you someone who will respect you, support you, cherish you, but you're too busy trying to fix someone who doesn't even see your effort. And the right people, the ones who truly understand your worth, cannot enter a heart that is already full of confusion, pain, and one-sided loyalty. Holding on to people who are wrong for your growth is like keeping dead plants in your garden. They take up space, but they cannot give life. And yet we water them, hoping they will bloom again. But my friends, when something drains you more than it nourishes you, letting go is the most loving act you can offer yourself. Think about how many opportunities, friendships, or blessings you might have missed because you were emotionally invested in someone who never deserved that much of you. Think about how many potential connections passed by your life quietly because they sensed you were still attached to someone who didn't value you. Life will not give you new chapters until you close the ones that are no longer serving you. The moment you let go of the wrong people, you free emotional space for the right ones. Those who appreciate your kindness, who value your presence, who match your energy, who bring peace instead of chaos. And when the right people finally arrive, you will look back and realize that letting go wasn't a loss. It was the doorway to everything you were meant to receive. Oh, my dear friends, one of the biggest misunderstandings we carry in life is believing that the way people treat us reflects something about our worth. We take their disrespect personally. We internalize their careless words, and we let their behavior shape the way we see ourselves. But the truth is, how someone treats you says far more about their character than it ever will about your value. A person who is wounded will wound others, even unintentionally. A person who is insecure will belittle others to feel taller. A person who has not learned to love themselves will struggle to love anyone else fully. And yet, we blame ourselves for their lack of kindness. We begin questioning our own goodness, thinking, maybe I'm not enough, or maybe I deserve this. But my friends, you could be the purest soul, the most sincere heart, the kindest presence, and still someone with a chaotic mindset will misunderstand you. You could offer your best, and someone incapable of receiving love will still reject it. You could pour loyalty into someone emotionally empty, and they'll still act like you gave them nothing. Their treatment is a reflection of their inner world, not yours. Just like a cracked mirror distorts any reflection, a damaged person distorts the value of those around them. Think about it. If someone is disrespectful, it reveals their upbringing or their emotional imbalance, not your lack of worth. If someone lies, it shows their fear, their insecurity, or their lack of integrity, not your inadequacy. If someone ignores you, it's a reflection of their priorities, their immaturity, or their inability to appreciate what's in front of them. Gold does not lose value because the person holding it does not understand its worth. And you too remain valuable regardless of who fails to see you. You must stop letting the behavior of emotionally unstable people become the judge of your identity. The world is full of people who are kind, compassionate, respectful, and capable of recognizing your light. But you will never see them clearly if you allow the wrong people to define you. Remember, people's actions are mirrors of their own internal struggles, and their disrespect is a loud confession of who they are, not who you are. So the next time someone treats you poorly, instead of shrinking, remind yourself, this is their reflection, not mine, and walk away with your dignity, because your worth remains untouched by someone else's inability to value it. My dear friends, we often misunderstand the idea of letting go. We think walking away means giving up on someone, abandoning them, or becoming heartless. But in reality, letting go is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-protection, self-respect, and sometimes even self-love. There comes a point in life when holding on hurts more than letting go, when staying connected to someone becomes a daily battle with your own peace. And yet, out of fear, hope, or emotional attachment, we continue to cling to relationships that tear us from the inside. We keep tolerating disrespect, excusing careless behavior, and shrinking our own needs, all because we are afraid of losing someone who has already let go of us internally. But my friends, preserving your peace is not selfish, it is sacred. Peace is not a luxury, it is the foundation of a stable, meaningful life. When someone's presence in your life repeatedly causes you anxiety, confusion, insecurity, or emotional exhaustion, walking away is not abandoning them. It is protecting the calmness of your heart and the dignity of your soul. Think about it. Every time you choose to endure what breaks you, you indirectly tell life that your peace is negotiable, that your dignity is optional, that your heart can be mistreated. But when you walk away, when you set a boundary, when you allow distance to replace chaos, you tell the universe, I deserve better. I deserve people who value me, honor me, and nourish my spirit. Letting go is not an act of bitterness. It does not mean you hate them. It simply means you finally love yourself enough to stop participating in your own suffering. Some people drain you without even realizing it. Some people take your kindness as weakness, your patience as permission, your forgiveness as an invitation to hurt you again. And the longer you stay in such energy, the more you lose yourself, your joy, your confidence, your emotional clarity. But the moment you decide to step away, even if it breaks your heart, you begin the journey back to yourself. You start hearing your own thoughts again. You start feeling your own emotions without filters of fear. You start breathing more freely because your spirit is no longer suffocating under the weight of forced connections. Distance is not a punishment. It is a healing space where you rediscover your strength, your worth, and your voice. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is space. Space from noise, space from manipulation, space from emotional instability. And in that space, you begin to realize that the peace you fought so hard to protect was not outside. It was inside you all along. You just needed distance from the people who disturbed it. So, my dear friends, let go not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of love for your own soul. Walking away is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a healthier, brighter, more peaceful chapter of your life. And when you choose peace over chaos, you are choosing the most powerful form of self-respect a person can ever give themselves. My dear friends, one of the most painful realizations in life is discovering that you give your best to people who give you only the bare minimum. You offer your heart with sincerity, your time with loyalty, your effort with consistency, yet the energy you receive in return feels like crumbs, like leftovers, like something given out of obligation rather than genuine care. But relationships, any relationship, cannot survive on one-sided effort. You deserve the same love you give, the same loyalty you offer, the same sincerity you pour into the lives of others. You deserve to be met halfway. You deserve to be chosen, not tolerated. And yet so many of us become experts at over-giving. We stretch ourselves emotionally just to keep someone happy. We adjust our schedules to fit their convenience. We compromise again and again, hoping one day they will finally understand our value. But my dear friends, when only one person is trying, the relationship stops being a partnership and becomes a burden. You cannot hold together what someone else is effortlessly letting fall apart. Think about how much emotional weight you carry when the effort is unbalanced. You keep initiating conversations, They respond only when they feel like it. You plan everything, they show up without appreciation. You make sacrifices to protect the relationship, they don't even notice your struggle. And slowly, without realizing it, you start believing that maybe you're asking for too much, when in truth, you're only asking for the basic respect any healthy connection requires. When the effort is one-sided, your heart becomes tired, your peace becomes fragile, and your identity becomes diluted because you start molding yourself into someone easier to love. But love is not supposed to make you lose your self-love. It's supposed to bring out more of who you truly are. And the right people will never make you feel guilty for expecting reciprocity. They will naturally offer what you need without you begging for it. Because when someone genuinely values you, giving becomes effortless. You deserve someone who texts you first sometimes, who checks on you out of genuine concern, who appreciates your presence even in the smallest ways. You deserve people who remember your worth even on their busiest days. You deserve to feel valued, not tolerated, cherished, not just useful, respected, not taken for granted. Remember, my friends, when someone truly cares, you do not have to constantly remind them of how to treat you. They already know. The people who value you will match your energy, not drain it. They will show up with sincerity, not excuses. They will invest in the relationship with openness, not indifference. And when you finally experience mutual effort, you will realize how exhausting one-sided love truly was. So never settle for relationships where you have to carry all the weight. Never shrink yourself to fit into someone's limited capacity to care. Your heart is not meant to be a place where effort goes unrecognized. You deserve balance. You deserve consistency. You deserve someone who gives as deeply as you do. And the moment you stop settling for less, life begins to bring you the people who were always meant to treat you the way you deserve. My dear friends, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to create distance. Not out of anger, not out of ego, not to punish anyone, but simply to protect your inner peace. There are moments in life when closeness becomes unhealthy, when someone's constant negativity, disrespect, confusion, or inconsistency begins to slowly poison your spirit. And staying close to people who hurt you doesn't make you loyal. It makes you suffer quietly. But distance is a boundary written not in words, but in self-respect. It is the silent declaration that says, I value my peace more than I value chaos. I value my heart more than I value your unpredictable behavior. Many of us fear creating distance because we fear hurting others or we fear being misunderstood. But my friends, no one should fear losing you more than you fear losing yourself. You cannot keep sacrificing your emotional well-being to maintain relationships that are draining your strength. Distance is not cruelty. Distance is clarity. When you step back from someone, you give yourself the space to see the situation without emotional fog. You begin to understand what is real and what is illusion, who is genuine and who is simply convenient, who appreciates you and who only uses you when they need something. And sometimes, distance reveals truths that closeness hides. When you give people space, you finally discover who is willing to move closer and who quietly walks away. Those who value you will reach out. They will show effort. They will adjust. They will understand your need for peace. Those who don't value you will fade into silence because the only thing holding them there was your constant effort. This is why distance is powerful. It separates the temporary from the true, the half-hearted from the committed, the ones who care from the ones who don't. And my dear friends, distance heals. In the space you create, your heart begins to breathe again. You rediscover your voice, your strength, your identity. You begin to see how much of yourself you had lost while trying to keep someone else comfortable. You realize that peace was not something you needed to search for. It was always there, beneath the noise of the wrong relationships. When you step away from people who disturb your mental and emotional balance, you are not being rude, you are being responsible. Responsible for your happiness, responsible for your healing, responsible for your growth. And the beautiful thing is, distance does not close doors. It simply closes chaos. The right people will never be pushed away by your boundaries. The wrong people will always be threatened by them. So choose distance when closeness becomes painful. Choose space when the connection becomes suffocating. Choose yourself when someone else repeatedly chooses to hurt you. Because at the end of the day, the peace you gain from distancing yourself from the wrong energy is far greater than the pain of letting someone go. My dear friends, one of the most profound truths about life and relationships is that the right people will naturally uplift, inspire, and appreciate you without you having to constantly prove your worth. You see, when we are surrounded by the wrong people, we feel drained, unnoticed, and underappreciated. We over-explain, we overgive, we bend ourselves out of shape, hoping they will finally see us, finally understand us, finally value us. But the right people, the ones who truly belong in your life, never make you feel that way. They see your light and they celebrate it. They recognize your efforts and they respond with gratitude. They honor your presence without being asked. They listen without judgment and they support without conditions. With the right people, love is effortless, appreciation is natural, and connection feels like breathing. It is not a struggle or a performance. These people don't drain your energy, they enhance it. They don't take your kindness for granted. They reflect it. They don't diminish your worth. They amplify it. And when you experience these genuine connections, you start realizing that the struggle you endured with the wrong people was never about your inadequacy. It was about their inability to see you. Think about it. The right people will bring out your best without asking for it, because they see the best in you. They will inspire growth without pressure, encourage honesty without fear, and provide a safe space for vulnerability without judgment. You won't have to shrink your heart to fit them. You won't have to compromise your values to keep them. You won't have to beg for attention, validation, or affection. Their appreciation is sincere because it flows naturally from a heart that recognizes and respects yours. And the beauty of these relationships is that they don't require constant monitoring or manipulation. They don't test your patience or your loyalty with games or indifference. They simply exist as a harmonious exchange of energy, love, and respect where both sides uplift each other. And the contrast between such genuine relationships and the ones where you struggle to be seen becomes so clear that you finally understand the real cost of holding on to people who never valued you. You realize how much of your time, energy, and peace was wasted trying to force someone else to recognize what the universe had already gifted you freely. The ability to be loved and appreciated for who you truly are. So, my dear friends, stop forcing yourself into spaces where your worth is ignored and start moving towards spaces where it is naturally celebrated. The right people will not demand that you bend or beg. They will meet you as you are, honor your heart, and create a relationship where both parties feel enriched rather than depleted. Life is too short to invest in anyone who cannot see your light. And the day you begin to seek connections that are effortless, uplifting, and reciprocal, you will not only attract the right people, you will also become the right person for those who deserve your energy, your kindness, and your love. My dear friends, one of the most beautiful truths of life is that when you let go of people who don't value you, you are not losing, they are losing. And more importantly, you are creating space for your own healing, growth, and the arrival of better connections. You see, holding on to someone who doesn't appreciate your worth is like keeping a heavy stone in your heart. It presses down on your spirit, it restricts your joy, it limits your ability to love fully and freely. And so, when you release that person, you are not abandoning them. You are liberating yourself. You are telling your own soul, I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve love that flows both ways. And in that liberation, something extraordinary begins to happen. The emptiness left behind is not a void. It is a fertile space, a sacred ground where healing begins. It is the space where you start listening to your own heart again, where you reconnect with your own dreams, and where you rediscover your own strength and resilience that had been buried under disappointment and unreciprocated effort. The act of letting go is not an ending, it is the beginning of a journey back to yourself. Think about how many times we have clung to relationships out of fear, out of hope, or out of guilt. We fear loneliness, so we tolerate disrespect. We hope things will change, so we ignore the truth of the present. We feel guilty for leaving, so we stay trapped in the wrong energy. And in all this, we slowly lose touch with the most important person in our lives, you. When you let go of people who don't value you, you reclaim the time, energy, and emotional bandwidth that was being drained. You reclaim the power to choose who deserves your love, who deserves your attention, and who deserves to walk beside you. You begin to see clearly that life is too short for half-hearted connections, too precious to waste on those who cannot see your brilliance, and too sacred to sacrifice your peace for temporary presence. And in this clarity, you begin to attract people who are aligned with your values, who resonate with your energy, and who elevate your life instead of depleting it. These are the people who celebrate your victories without envy, who support you through challenges without judgment, who love you without conditions, and who honor your worth without being asked. And my dear friends, the most miraculous part is that letting go does not close doors. It opens them. The space you create is like a signal to the universe saying, I am ready. I am worthy. I am available for the right energy, the right people, and the right love. Healing begins. Growth begins. True joy begins. And slowly, you realize that the heart you feared would break from letting go was always resilient. The tears you shed were not a sign of weakness. They were cleansing, releasing all the emotional weight that no longer belonged to you. And in their place, peace enters, strength enters, wisdom enters. And the people who are meant to walk into your life arrive naturally, effortlessly, and in perfect timing. So remember, letting go is not a loss. It is the most powerful gift you can give yourself. It is an act of courage, an act of self-respect, and an act of profound love. When you let go of those who cannot value you, you make room for life to give you the blessings, connections, and relationships that are truly worthy of your heart.